Hey folks, it's Mr. Markart here to explain a little bit more about how to write a hypothesis statement that you'll see here. You'll notice that this lab that we're using, this muscle twitch lab, it's just an example lab that we're using off of a previous lab that I'd used when I taught biology in southern Wisconsin. So a couple things, as you look at your hypothesis statement, you'll notice it's broken into three parts. And just like any good hypothesis statement, we've got a if part, or like an if this independent action happens, or some sort of independent change, then something dependent measurement is going to happen because what's my rationale? And those three parts are really what I'm looking for in a hypothesis statement. So in this case, when we're testing with this lab here, the muscle twitch, I was testing different types of exercises and to see what would happen to the resulting ability to complete those with a slow twitch, or like my timing that goes with that. And in that case, my timing is going to be my dependent variable. And so that's going to be what I'll write down for that. My independent, however, is what I'm changing. So in this case, for my case here, if what's my change? What am I making? And what am I changing about my experiment that is going to cause some sort of change in data? So in this case, if I think it was like planking, planking is used for slow twitch compared to walking. In that, again, you'll see and notice that planking, that's going to be basically my activity change. I've got mentioned something about what I'm comparing it to, or like my control. In this case, the original, my formative was just walking. The change that I'm going to make then as a summative change is going to be planking. My dependent variable, in this case with this muscle twitch lab, it was figuring out how long I could be able to do that activity. So like by seconds or by minutes. Then I should probably restate that, sorry. And I get to a point of like three different things I can measure with my dependent variable. I can either increase, I can decrease, or I can stay the same. Of that kind of nature, I can always relate back, and I can always measure that really well when I'm going and talking about it in my conclusion. I just need to put one of those things. So if I was a student and I was making this hypothesis and figuring out planking compared to walking, I'm going to say I'm going to decrease the fatigue. Again, my dependent variable, I've got my time mentioned, and I've got some sort of like decrease, increase, or stay the same. My reasoning then, all the way at the bottom, because I'd like to hear your thoughts. Why you think this change, why do you think this measurement change is going to happen? And for me, like if I was sitting in your shoes and I was thinking, okay, why are my fatigue times going to decrease when I'm planking compared to when I'm walking? Planking just takes more like activity for me. Like I feel like it would take more time out of me. So I'm going to mention that down below. All right. You'll notice I just jumped straight ahead to the ending here, but you'll notice that I've got the planking involves more unused muscle than walking, leading to a decreased fatigue time. Again, keep in mind, I misspelled fatigue on this. I'm not the best speller, that's certainly for sure. But again, you can see on this that you've got my rationale. You've got me connecting it back to what my dependent prediction is, in the case of this being like a decreased fatigue time, which basically means I'm not going to last as long being able to plank compared to, say, my ability to walk. And that, folks, is how you do a hypothesis. If you've got questions, feel free to email me or let me know in class if it's applicable. Again, this is just an example lab. We don't do muscle twitch here in Agriscience, but just to give you kind of a third person or a third lab to kind of consider and understand how we put that hypothesis together. Hopefully all goes well. Let me know if you got questions.